Good evening. I would like to call this Brunswick City Commission regular scheduled meeting for Wednesday, October 2nd, 2024 to order. Before we stand for our invocation and pledge of allegiance, we want to take a moment to first off remember all of those who have been of service to community through Hurricane Helene. Every single one of our officers, firemen, public works officials, and staff that worked on the clock through that storm to ensure our public safety, to ensure that we got messages out in a timely manner. And we also want to thank help and coordinate of our friends in the county, the chairman, the commission, their public work, fire, police, staff, the sheriff as well. We also want to thank our staff and other community partners as they have reached out to communities across this state that have been hit a lot harder than to offer our resources, to offer our help, and to reach out and to part where we can. So with that, we understand that there are also those, unfortunately, who have lost their lives to this storm. And so as I stand for the invocation and pledge of allegiance, we would just ask that we put for a small of silence. Could you please stand? Thank you. We will now have our invocation by Elder Sean Slay from Greater Than These Ministries. As she comes, I want to give a big shout out to you, your leader team, Pastor Baker, and all others as you had an incredible homecoming right there in the middle of McIntyre Court, basketball tournaments, and the like. So for you all's ship in our community.
Thank you. And as the scripture says, give honor as due. Honor you, Mayor Cosby, and our city commission team and all our city leadership. Let us pray. Dear Lord, we thank you for continuously watching the city of Brunswick. And at this moment, we invoke your presence and wisdom in this meeting. We pray that your hand upon our city officials as they meet today to conduct matters of business, guide our heart and minds in the spirit of fairness, right thought, and speech. Impart your supreme wisdom upon activities so that our affairs may reach a successful conclusion. Thank you, Father, for the source of our guidance and wisdom in this meeting. In Jesus' name, amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag, the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now move on to the approval of the agenda and the adoption of the October 2nd, 24 scheduled meeting agenda. Do we have any addendums or subtractions? Hearing none, we'll open it for a motion.
Mr. Mayor, motion that we approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
Hearing the first and all those in favor show by the sign of aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the same. Hearing none, the passes. Agenda is adopted. We will now move on to recognition, appreciations, and awards. We will have a proclamation presentation to Goodwill accepted by Parker Kitchens, who is the manager of donations, physicians, and community impact, proclaiming the month of October National Disability Employment Awareness Month. How you doing? I'm going to read this information really quick, give you a chance to say something, and grab a picture from you. Whereas October 2024 marks the 79th anniversary of National Disability Awareness Month, highlighting workplaces welcoming of the talents of all individuals, including those with different abilities. And whereas the U.S. Department of Labor's Office of Disability Employment Policy has designated the theme of October 2024 as Acts to Good Job for All, showing a commitment to expanding both the quantity and quality employment opportunity differently abled workers. And whereas this observance also emphasizes the importance of supportive and inclusive policies and practices that benefit both employees and employers. And whereas advancing access equity is crucial for success in strengthening our regional economy. And whereas Goodwill Southeast Georgia recognizes National Disability Employment Awareness Month this October, celebrating more than 100 associates employed at its federal contract sites, including the Federal Law Enforcement Training Center, FLETC, in Brunswick, Georgia. Now, therefore, I, B.H. Johnson, as the city of Brunswick, along with my fellow commissioners, do hereby proclaim the month of October 24 as National Disability Employment Awareness Month, supports an important message that people with differing abilities add significant value and talent to our workplace and communities. Thank you for your work. Thank you. And I want to say a big out to you all, those employees. I have friends and family who were you all, and they were right after the storm, ensuring that the footprint was clear and clean. We know that Georgia Power has a staging site out at the Federal Law Enforcement Training Center. So that you all done and that your employees have done has ensured that we remain a safe and resilient community. So thank you so much. The next proclamation presentation to Southeast Georgia Health System Manager of Radiology to Chad Robinson, Chastity Payne, team leader, proclaiming October 2024 as National Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Just so you all know, we worsted by Commissioner Gwen Atkinson Williams, who told us how we show up without going in October. And so let me just say, apologize. But next time, I promise I will find a pink tie, some pink socks, something pink will happen because she got onto it. So we will not make that mistake again. That's it. There you go. There you go. You found a little something. Oh, we got pink fingernails. So the ladies are taking care. Yeah, we're struggling. So I'll read this quick proclamation and let you say a few words. Whereas while there is considerable progress in the fight against cancer, it remains the most diagnosed form of cancer and the second leading cause of death in the U.S. And whereas yearly it is estimated that over 220,000 women in the U.S. will be diagnosed with breast cancer, of which more than 40,000 will succumb to the disease. Whereas in order to spread awareness during the month of October, the city of Brunswick affirms our commitment to support cancer research, educate all citizens about breast cancer risk, detection, and treatment. And whereas we recognize breast cancer survivors, fighters, and their family and friends tirelessly provide a source of love and encouragement. The city of Brunswick applauds the effort of our medical professionals and researchers working to find a cure for deadly disease. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that I, Cosby H. Johnson, Mayor of the city of Brunswick, along with my fellow commissioners, do hereby proclaim the month of October as Breast Cancer Awareness in the city of and urge our community to prevent breast cancer death through increased education and routine screenings. Thank you. We will now move on to presentations. Our first is from our friends over at Coastal Outreach Soccer. U19 boys provide a presentation regarding flood prevention. So we always first want to thank Sean, thank him for his leadership and his work, always reaching beyond the game of soccer. And as you said, is the game of soccer is just to bring them in to understand things far greater. So we are blessed to have you all, boys, and your young presenting to us on flood prevention and things that we as a city to make our parks, but also make our city more resilient. So we'll turn it over to you all.
My name is Freddie, and I'm here with the COS U19 boys soccer team. We are part of YoPro, which is Young Professionals. The program was started by Coastal Outreach Soccer and Marine Extent and Georgia Sea Grants. YoPro was initiated in 2021, and YoPro Leaders, which I'm a part of, started in 2023. Our partners are the UGA Marine Extension Sea Grants, Coastal Ecology Program, Dr. Kimberly Ann's, Stormwater Program, Just Brown, Georgia Department of Natural Resources, Coastal Reach Division, Jennifer Klein, and Kelly Hill, City of Brunswick, Garo Alberson, funded by Arnoa, Coastal Grants, Honeywell, and many COS supporters. And now I'd like to introduce my teammate, Ray Daniel.
Good evening, everyone. We care about it because it causes property damage to our homes, businesses, and Coffin Park. In the picture shown, that large amount of water sitting on the boulevard affects Glenn Middle School, making it very difficult for students to attend school. In the smaller picture, it's a book owned by one of our coaches and teammates. The water surrounding the building stops patrons from shopping at their business. We are also concerned about the environmental damage caused by flooding. Driving on a flooded Albany Street will leave behind emissions and other harmful chemicals in the water, which can affect plants, wildlife, and our neighbors. Flooding is a complex problem. As you can see, Coffin Park is riddled with big puddles and grass. The areas on the side of town are at sea level, so when tide is high, a lot of marsh water will run into these areas due to the water having no other to go. We consistently experience compound flooding due to the storm water off in Hyde at Coffin Park and Windsor Park neighborhood. The objective of YoPro leadership flood monitoring research and design are to reduce damages to properties, environment, and the city of Brunswick. To help teammates and I complete this, we will use many forms of technology like drones, cameras, survey equipment, CAD to aid us with our flood prevention data collection and designs. We will work with our local experts to explore flood prevention solutions that include the usage of swales, bioretention swales, design based on the data we collect to improve our new construction practices. We are committed to working on flood prevention because we want to live in a city with less events. to improve the lives of our neighbors, to increase usage of public spaces, and reduce negative impact on small businesses. Need the support of everyone who says young people like me do not care about anything but their cell phone and social media. To those who can hear my voice tonight, my teammates and I stand to continue to serve our community with our actions. We also support from each of the commissioners and you, Mayor Johnson, to review, give us feedback, and implement our design solutions for the city of Brunswick. I will ask our partners, my teams, and our parents and our coaches to stand. We wish to say thank you to the commissioners and Mayor for giving us the time on agenda tonight and the opportunity to serve the community. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Rick, if we can, what's my man's name? Freddie. He come back up. We may have a few questions. And I know you may want to, as we pepper off some questions, show him what it's really like when you get up in front of some politicians. Well, I want to ask the base question. First off, I want to say thank you for the work you all have put in. I'm sure that I can speak by commission that I will say after this meeting, we will set time with Director Alberson, our staff, sit down with you all as the leaders of your group and the solutions you all think be good. Let's get to work on them because we are happy to work on them. As you see, we've already invested a lot of money in Howard Coffin Park, and we want to make sure we're right. And people who use it most are the ones who can teach us how to get it right. So we thank you for your ship in that area. I want to open it up for any comments or questions from the commission.
Wonderful presentation. I know that it's probably the first time speaking in front of a crowd. I know how that can be. Y'all did an amazing job. So keep doing what you're doing. And I do know, I see the work that you do, and I know that you care more about community, not just social media and your electronics, because I see the work that you do. So keep.
I just want to ditto, Commissioner. I'm proud of both of you all, but I have to say, oh my God, so proud of Freddie. Freddie's actually my student, you all, and just to see him, carry him from the classroom to stand up to speak to us, I'm so proud, educator, but I'm proud of each and every one of you all. Continue the good work. I look forward to working with you all too as well. Thank you.
Awesome young man. Just to have you young men standing before tonight to allow the community to see you in a different light, away from your electronics. Also allow the community to see that you're not just on those electronics wasting time. You're actually doing something positive that's going to make a change, not just today, but for generations beyond yourselves.
Yeah, again, the commission has said, most of it tonight. You guys are awesome. But one thing I'll urge you to do is, that you've done a lot of research and you've done a lot of things to this point. Don't let it stop here, right? You need to keep coming back to us to make sure we're doing our job to help implement some of these solutions. So thank you again.
I want to just ask you a quick question, two quick questions. I know when I'm running, we walk that footprint, the foot we see now, and we've done some work over there, but there's work to be done. Just in your estimate, as you've seen it, can you give us maybe a couple things maybe that we talk to Dr. Alberson about? And then from this space, I know the work you do, and I know the work you do in concert with the city outside of a QR code. If there's any way people can get their children in touch with you, into the program, I know we have some people online. If you can just let us know how to get in touch so we can continue to grow this.
First of all, like I said, we've put together a team that will be working with the young men as well as our young ladies to implement and so to collect the data. So Gary Albertson is part of the team that we have. We have a survey company that's going to also be teaching them how to use this equipment and also taking some for surveys out at Coffin Park. So we sure that we are getting it right in the design efforts. Coach Deuce, Jalen on that side. So they're going to be implementing and helping them do the design work. We have a team in place to address some of the issues that we continue to see Coffin Park with. How do we, help with the stormwater runoff in a way that we're moving water that is not negatively impacting Windsor Park, Glen Middle School. So how do we come together as a coalition of leaders in the community? Say, here's a comprehensive plan that we all can work on. We know that it's going to take some time to be able to do. We are looking at some bioretention cells for our meeting last week to have those designed out, and our students will be handling all that design work. We were just in the data point, and this is going to be their effort, and that's what we want to make sure. But it's going to be great for them to see that the work that they've done be implemented. And I think from there, now we are creating surveyors, we're creating engineers, we're creating folks that are interested in marketing and communications. We're allowing them to build a resume in high school. So those that are interested in participating with Coast Outreach Soccer, we're out at Howard Park. You can come to registration every day from 3 to 6 from Monday to Friday. My contact number is 912-266-1491. You can also reach us at that number. But we welcome any children from 4 to 18 to join us and become part of our, not only our program, the academic piece, the STEM piece, and the community service piece. Thank you for all allowing us to be able to come before you.
So Sean, one of the biggest things that I've taken from this, and I hope that we all have taken, including our staff, is, and from my conversations with Garo about different things, is you all been in the work on the front side, phase 1, phase 2. Phase 3, the construction and implementation part of it is what's next most important. That's where the call really comes in at. So we're charged with phase 3, making sure that we can find resources to implement and execute the designs and the information that you provide to us. And I see girl power in the house too, so we're
Yeah.
not gonna forget about the girl
The
power GoPro.
I want to say one last thing before Sean sits down. So this year is 20 years that COS is celebrating. And in the audience, you have my three nephews who were a part of the first team, the college place, but now they're coaching. So they went off and they came back to give back to the community. So I just want to, and once again, for 20 years of service in the community.
Thank you. Thank you. We will now move on to item number 5. Salvation Army Administrator Captain Jim Dillingham provide updates regarding Salvation Army. Going once, going twice. And we will move on. We'll City Clerk Atkinson, we can just make sure we contact him, reschedule for whenever he's good. We will now move on to the public portion for new alcohol beverage license H&H Mini Mart. Owner is Mr. or Mrs. Patel, 1603 L Street, Hill sale of beer and wine.
Good evening. That we have H Mini Mart. doing business as the In and Out at 16 of L Street. I have the owner and their attorney, Jennifer Giuliano, here with us if you have any questions. They are looking to be licensed for retail beer and wine.
Before we move on, thank you guys for being here. Appreciate you being present. Good evening. Couple basic questions. Is there any variance with this footprint as it pertains to far they are away from churches, how far they are away from homes, whatever's regular?
Yes. So I did the distance and it came to approximately 291 feet from the church that is up the street from them on L Street.
And how close are we that they should be to church?
Supposed to be more than 300.
Than 300. Okay. He said that's Johnson's Temple. Okay. Okay. And is there any requirement as it pertains to residential properties?
It is same as far as residential.
Okay.
I did not measure behind them.
Okay.
For residential because they are of the church.
Okay.
It was.
It had already eclipsed. Okay, I got you. Thank you so much. Give me your
Good
name one more
evening.
time.
Hey, Jennifer Giuliano,
Thank
attorney here in Glen.
Thank you.
This is Mr. Patel. There is a little bit of a language barrier, so he needs help with that. Do you have any questions or?
Yeah. Question, or actually, can talk to us a little bit about how we got here. I don't know if it's change of ownership, change
sir.
of I have no idea. So
Yes, sir.
set the scene for us and let us.
Mr. Patel here is the property. He is now the owner over there at the H&H Mart. He is trying to retain a liquor license or beer and wine license to be able to sell wine at that place. Anything? We filed our application, and I believe in May of this year. We've been on the calendar times. There was some stuff going on with me in my business, but we're here tonight to answer final questions or see what else we can do. They did a neighborhood meeting not too long ago, and I know that I guess the neighborhood does not really ask for it. They do not want it. There's probably about 4 in attendance there. So I did ask them if they wanted to get together a petition to have people, members of the community sign. They did get me about pages worth of signatures. I submitted, I believe, the first 5 to Ms. Brown for her to review in case she saw something that was incorrect or wrong or anything like that, but they did get some more pages of signatures where people would like for them to be able to get their permit at that place.
Perfect. Thank you all. Any questions or comments from the commission?
A couple quick questions. Can you tell me what your hours are? 9:30 to 9:30 at night, every day, Monday through Sunday. Okay. What do you sell other than beer and wine at your establishment?
As of right now.
Do you also do lottery and do you have those? Okay.
You own any other stores in the city? Do you own any other stores in the city? Okay.
Any additional comments or questions? I I should call this the Drew Martin question, but do you sell any fruits, vegetables, milk, eggs, produce, bread? You sell all of those?
Like EBT.
Groceries, yes, sir.
Okay. And I know per the law, if you accept EBT, a certain amount of that you kind of have to keep in your building. But I guess my question goes a little bit beyond that. You creating a wealth of nutritious items for the community? Are you finding anything other than kind of snacks, candies, cigarettes, alcohol? Okay. Okay. And your response to Commissioner Sabi's question, and you don't have gaming machines yet, is that something that you are looking forward to doing, something you want to do?
It isn't, I'm, it comes.
Okay. But it is a process. Okay. Um, is there, do you all or are you all aware of the crime statistics surrounding that footprint individually or the neighborhood as a whole?
I've come, I'm not.
Okay. Um, I would let you know that is an area where we've had issues before, issues at that specific location. And if I were to have a conversation with my officers, a lot of those interactions would involve those who were intoxicated by some kind of substance. I won't say it's really alcohol, we don't know, but um, I do know that area has somewhat a hotspot for that kind of activity. Because of that, I just ask, have you all given any thought to additional safety measures? What you all plan on doing to ensure the community remains safe? What do you all think about the safety not only of just your foot, but those who live very close to you in a church of worshipers that gather on days and Wednesdays?
So, safety on cameras, trying to do then.
In addition to that, I'll say that Deputy Brown had spoken with me about loitering and stuff like that. They have gone out there and asked everyone to move off of their specific property, and they do not have that issue on their property, so they can't have anything that's neighboring, but on their specific property, they do not have that issue. Since she had let us know, and I told them that was an issue in that area.
Gotcha. Um, it- this is my last question. When Mr. Patel bought the business from whomever, did you buy business understanding that the liquor license was a separate conversation than buying the business? Or did you buy the business saying the only way this business model works is selling alcohol? So I guess the question is, do you all business model that doesn't include selling alcohol, or is that your primary function as a business model? Questions from the, yes.
The mayor took question one of
Oh.
them anyway, because I was gonna ask the pertinence of your selling the beer and wine, meaning that the prior establishment was not approved. You still went into an area that you already knew that light was not previously approved. So you went as knowingly.
Yes, I also knew that I put the old owner put up had their license also before that and before that. Then
It's been there before, but there are changes that's been made since that time. So I understand that you've done and you historically, but the immediacy of the approval of that license was not approved. So you went into this knowing.
as I know, I applied.
You applied for beer and wine.
When we discussed that, they wanted to note the distinction between liquor and wine.
Beer and wine.
Yes.
Brian, was the previous license liquor or beer and wine? Okay. There's a different establishment further up the road. To my knowledge, that establishment has not sold liquor. Now, I may before I became a commissioner, but to my knowledge, that establishment sell liquor. Their licenses and the applicants that they previously put for were for beer and wine. So that's the matter which we dealt with was beer and wine. Now, there are some other matters that in looking at application and in looking at your petition, I can your petition to you several people that have no interest in that specific area. So that's another matter to discuss. Just going and arbitrarily getting signatures from folks that don't live in that community, not a part of that neighborhood planning assembly, has no big interest of those people that live immediately. I know a bunch of on that on that petition that you have, and I beg to say, I don't think you know them. I would beg to say that I think you just out into the community and arbitrarily gathered signatures, which you can do, but people don't have an interest in that specific neighborhood. I would ask a question: how many neighborhood planning assemblies have you attended before you came interest of having that one interest in that community of locating your business there? How have you become vested in that community beyond just your locality, beyond just business? How have you become vested in that? How have you gone to those meetings on a consistent basis to actually become in that community? Those would be the questions and the concerns that I have sitting from the seat, is that you're just coming into that community because now you have a business interest in that community, but are you vested? Do you plan to be vested? You don't get your life approved today. What are you going to do from this point forward? As the mayor said, what's your business plan beyond just selling beer and wine? I know you make some profit from wine. That's why you want to sell it. But what's your business plan beyond that? If you don't get that license here on tonight, or you do the prior establishment, just say, okay, we can't sit there and wine. We're going to just leave it just like it is. So are you going to be vested? Will you be vested in that community if you don't get your beer and wine license?
I don't get the give up. I don't hurt. I come from country. So I don't get the message. I will think of business. My money. I'll live in.
My challenge would be, show me. You can show me what the song said. You have a friend. I remember all the lyrics to it. But show this community. Show us beyond the beer and wine quest, the license.
But also with that said, there's also a way for them to, even if you were originally or something, you can pull it at any time. They could show you while having it, and 6 months down the road have no problem, everything being fine, or a year down the road. And I mean, so showing goes both ways. They could do it from you with it or without it. So I would add on that.
Appreciate that. Show me without it. I'm gonna put my stipulation on that. Show me without it. Show me how you are benefiting that community beyond selling beer and wine in that community. Show me how you can do. And when you show me how you can help that community to move out of where it is, I'm not putting all that on you, because responsibility goes to that community as well. So it has to be a partner that have show me something different from what I've not already seen. When you can show that, you got somebody for you.
Mayor, I have a question, and this is for you. Deputy Marshal. So you introduced this young gentleman as the translator, and I understand that Mr. Patel, the applicant for this, and but he just mentioned a couple times that it was his life savings, his business. So was there a background check done on this gentleman as well? And does he meet the requirements for the beer and wine license? Can you speak into the mic just so everybody hears?
That is the first time I've heard that he is, the background on Mr. Patel.
This is not who came to Madison. Yes.
So when I meant my life saving,
Here.
when I was mentioning my life saving, I was actually translating his words. Because,
Okay. Okay.
yeah,
Will be affiliated with the business, connected to it? Are you gonna be working there? Are you gonna be doing something in that business?
I'm not like working as a, but
That was gonna be my next question. Your age, you just said your dad. Okay, thank you. Awesome.
So I will ask all the questions or make the statements that Mayor or Mayor Pro Tem or Mayor Savies, because that is my community. So I live over there. So I know about the crime. I know what goes on. Also, I know that within the city limit, every corner, anytime you turn, if it's not a church, it's somewhere that sells beer and wine. In a community, in a city that's majority African American, for a zip code in the state of Georgia, as well as a place where people occasionally in that area, they're not drunk, they're high, right? And you have, like you see when people talking in the community, people walk from school, walk from elementary school, they have to pass that location. Even though you say that have your area gated off, you still have the other part of the property and you have across the street, they're gathering well. So they're still gonna come and patronize. So it's nothing, it's just the fact we want to see more for our community than places that sell beer, wine, and alcohol. Like at some point, it has to have a cap. More places in the city to buy apple cider than it is to buy an apple. So that's my concern. So that's me. So like I said, I know the area. I have to drive there to go to my barber shop right on the corner. Around the corner. I live around the, so I don't even have the questions because I've been around longer than you all have been in the community. So as Mayor Pro said, you don't have to show me that you can do something, to get, my take on your approval for the license. But it's just show us that you do something else can aid to the betterment of our community. So that's my part on that.
Pretty much everyone has said everything I would have liked said. I just want to know that you mentioned about the fence and where are you gonna put the fence? You're gonna put it on both east and west side of the store? So you're gonna pick up the concrete, the pavement on, if I'm from your store, it'd be the left-hand side. It's all concrete cement there. I just,
all around.
Gonna put a fence on top of the con, like up the con.
I know there's a fence on the right-hand side.
Yes.
A chain link fence on the right-hand side.
Yeah.
But you said, perimeter fence in the business. I'm trying to think how you visualize.
On top of back, I don't know. Back property all around it. Only thing that I focus on. Side there's all.
not a chain link fence.
This is privacy.
Now, we could pass that. That's okay. Now, will you two be the only two or you have other family members or other outsiders you hiring? How many other employees will you be hiring?
As of right now, but in the future, I plan to.
Two more family members?
No. But our family.
And what particular job description will they have, or duties and responsibility?
Uh,
Cook and, oh, y'all sell food, hot food?
Not yet. I am planning. As she mentioned.
So the hot food with the drive-through window on the left-hand side, that's a stone wall. How would you drive or not? That's not part of the plan?
I was going to do drive-through, but I have to see it.
I rest.
Deputy Marshal, I want to, I guess my last question is, what is the protocol when you are inside the footage that is allowed? What is the protocol when you are close to a church? Like if I'm too close to a church, need that church approval? Should I talk to that church? Or is it just on the commission decision that we grant that variance or not? Sorry.
Okay. Under this particular, since it is office consumption, it is commission discretion. So the 300 would be around church buildings related to, as it relate to, distilled spirits, wine and malt beverages. The liquor triggers the absolute prohibition on a license being issued within that realm. Only beer and wine for off-premise consumption triggers the other requirement where admission discretion and where you are going, if you will seek to approve one of those licenses, you have to make an affirmative state that you have into consideration the residential and religious areas that are within distance and that you don't believe it will have a negative impact on health, safety, well-being of those individuals.
Can I just say, the NPA, I do not believe that anyone from that particular church came to NPA. It was well more than 4 people at NPA. Chief Commissioner Atkinson was there, and it was unanimous that they didn't know.
Yeah. Any additional questions or comments? Any things you guys want to add? Okay.
They were good.
With that as a public hearing, so we will open it to the public. And as always, I like to leave it for 30 seconds. If no one comes, we'll cut it off, and I won't my time on the camera. So.
Good evening.
Evening.
Commissioners, Mayor Johnson. I want to read something from a neighbor. First, I would like to thank our mayor, commissioners, chief of police, and city staff for their leadership and commitment to not only hearing our concerns, but more importantly, taking action and making sure our community is better served and protected. My duty as a member of this community and homeowner to make sure all the effort and improvement are not wasted by businesses who don't have our best interest. In/out is a perfect example of what we as a neighborhood do not need more of. This business, the time it has been in operation, has not contributed any benefit to our community. And if it's given a license to sell beer and wine, it will only further increase the negative impact it is already having on our community. The location to our school, elementary school, and churches, and the fact that there is a liquor store within a block should make this an easy vote. Please do not allow outsiders or anyone to come into our community and turn it into a wasteland for the sake of it. Thank you, Simona Holmes. I only have basically one comment. Quick stop. Gloucester Street at MLK, inside Urbana Perry Park neighborhood. Friendly Express, corner of Glen Avenue and Gloucester Street, also in our neighborhood. Winn-Dixie, Lanier Plaza. Golden Owls Liquor, Lanier Plaza. L Street Liquors, 1800 block, L Street. That's 5 establishments within 2-mile or less radius of Urbana Perry Park. Don't need any more. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Any additional public comments? We'll leave it open for about 15 seconds. Seeing no others for public comment, we will now close the public comment period and bring it back to the commissioners. Commissioners, are there any additional questions or comments before we move to a motion? Hearing none, we'll open it for a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion that we deny the beer and wine license for H&H Mini Mart, C03 L Street.
Hearing a first, do I hear a second?
Second.
Hearing a first and a second, all in favor show by the sign of aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the same. Hearing none, the motion passed. Thank you, Mr. Booth, for showing up. We will continue to work well as you find other avenues of commerce and other ways to pour into the community. So we look forward to hearing from you. With that, we will move on to a public hearing on our our housing grant, our pro housing grant application. Director Hunter.
Thank you, Mayor and Commission. Tonight, we are having a quick overview and a public hearing about our Pro Housing Program Grant application. This is the Pathways to Removing Obstacles for Housing. This is a program that is administered through HUD. The goal of the program is to remove obstacles and barriers in communities, prohibit the production and retention of affordable housing. HUD will award program grants to communities who have taken positive steps to remove the production and remove the barriers to retention of affordable housing for low and moderate to income families. Grant up to $7 million are available that address remaining obstacles. Project proposals must specifically address the remaining obstacles. The city has already taken several steps to remove barriers to affordable housing. We updated our zoning ordinance in 2023. We adopted an affordable housing plan in 2024. We've created and funded a housing program at $2.5 million. We've committed SPLOST funds for infrastructure to address storm drainage and flooding and street improvements. We've also created opportunities for development of affordable housing through a number of different actions, including Perry Place, Norwich Commons, and recently the Forward Brunswick project. We are working on a property management code to address our blighted properties in an efficient manner. But we still have things that are standing in the way. We're requesting, or will be requesting, up to $7 million for activities to address additional flooding conditions in the hoods and inadequate infrastructure to support new housing development. Funding will go toward blight and blighting influences that are affecting neighborhood environments and living conditions, such as vacant and abandoned homes, vacant lots, homes in poor condition. It'll go also toward the inadequate supply of affordable housing to meet a demand that we know is approximately a need of 2,000 homes. And so we'll also help address the difficulty in acquiring or addressing abandoned or property due to heirs ownership issues. So that's a lot of information real quickly, but as we drill down into this, we are suggesting enough activities to take place to help address these issues. First program activity would be to acquire vacant homes for rehabilitation and sell to low and moderate income families. This portion of the $7 million would be $2.5 million. Three, we would acquire vacant homes. Those that could be rehabilitated would be rehabilitated and resold, and those that couldn't would be demolished to facilitate new construction. It's expected that those REIT homes could sell in the neighborhood of $125,000. Keeping in mind that to qualify under HUD's numbers, that a family of fours in would not exceed $62,000. Home buyers receive counseling and maybe up for purchase assistance loans and grants. And the home is maintained to code standards and remain affordable for at least 20 years. Program activity number 2 would be neighborhood infrastructure improvements. That a project total of $6.5 million, requesting $3.5 million. This would address storm drainage system improvement, flood control measures in Newtown, address aged and poorly functioning water sanitary sewer lines in the area, add sidewalks and street improvements and street lighting. Program activity number 3 would be a demonstration project that would repurpose a commercial building for use as affordable housing. And the grant funding for that would be requested for $500,000. Our intent there would be to acquire and repurpose a commercial building, more than likely in the Norwich Street corridor or affordable housing. This may include a partnership with another entity. Program activity number 4 would be to obtain legal assistance to resolve heirs ownership issues. That would not be limited to our housing we're dealing with as part of this. That would be something that we could open up to the greater community. So even people who are not owners, they're heirs, and they're living in their family home, and that has not been probated in the past, and been able to acquire that property, would help take advantage of legal assistance to get that into their name. Hopefully that would also qualify that potentially for other programs, whether it was our internal CDBG program or other assistance for housing rehabilitation. The Pro Housing Grant will be submitted October 15th. Grant awards are expected in the first quarter of 2025. Project activities will take place over 5 years, which would take us through 2030 as the end of this program. Sounds kind of crazy that we're talking about things in 2030 right now. The city's contribution would be $3.5 million. That would be through splost improvements that have already been identified in the area, and contributions from our housing program at $500,000. Again, part of our purpose there, funds that we already have and we've already allocated into specific tasks, and grow those as much as possible through these grants, so that we get the maximum impact where we can. As y'all know, we're standing up our housing program, and right now that's kind of falling within the planning department. And once we get going further down the road, that may blossom into its own. But for right now, that's our activity in planning. Project activities will primarily focus in the Newtown target area, but we'll also be looking for areas of opportunity outside that target. So as we talked about when we established our housing program guidelines, while we do have a target area, we're always looking for things that make sense for us to invest in. So when the right opportunity comes, we'll have the ability to step outside that and have impacts in other areas of the city. That was a whole lot of information. Purpose of this, part of the grant requirements, so the public hears and knows what we're doing. Obviously, try to keep it all updated as well as we're progressing down this road. But it's also provide the public the opportunity to provide additional input. Team has gone out. We've been to the Urbana-Prairie Park NPA 2 weeks ago, and have also are going to, I believe, Midtown. Which other NPA? Yeah, on the 14th, we're going to, I believe, we're going to the mid. Yes. On right before, yeah, on the 14th. So that's also to help get the word out. We've also posted our application and a summary of the pro housing program on the city website, so that's available as well. And we're excited about the potential of this opportunity. So happy to answer any questions that you've got at this time.
Questions or comments?
Mr. Hunter, how you doing
I'm
tonight?
doing great.
Yeah, I'm just trying to, I was looking at the facts and issues that was written up here. The pro housing is part of, it was the state, the Biden-Harris administration housing supply. Now, and I know with grants, we don't know, usually grants are there till funds run out. And we are right now through a,
So these are already appropriated funds.
okay.
So we're not looking at something that has the potential to, well, I'd like to say that. I'll never say, but it's already appropriated. It's actually, I believe, FY20 for funding. This is the second round. We applied last year, qualified as an application, but we score high enough to be able to receive an award. It's a very competitive, we're competing nationally. So it is a pretty tough program, but we feel pretty good about it. But yes, the money is there. So they're allocating money that has already been budgeted and put
Okay.
out by the government.
Just,
Yeah.
just,
Yeah. Oh, I know. Trust me.
okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Who else is, how many other cities are competing for these funds?
I'd have to go back and look and see how many applied last year. I know they,
So as you're looking at what's with those other competitors in line potentially, what's the probability that we will? And then if we will, what's the maximum grant amount?
maximum grant, $7 million.
That
Yeah.
So it's 7 million in the pot. No others are competing for
No,
7
so,
million?
no, there's significantly
Okay,
more than
okay.
that. It's,
It's 100 million.
it's 100 million.
Okay,
It's 100 million
okay.
in the pool. The maximum is
Per
7 million.
person, per application is?
Maximum per
yeah,
application is 7
is
million.
7.
Yep.
Thank you. Get me
Um,
straight.
we actually had a recap of our, recap with HUD, go over our application, and I'm looking for my notes right now because, it was really enlightening, in terms of how they scored the grants, but also, how we did. And, it was very encouraging, you know, when you get rejected, you always wonder. There it is.
What you did, what
So,
you need.
last application round, there were, 106 applicants
Mhm.
that made the cut to be reviewed completely. So we were in that 160.
Okay.
That totaled over $1 billion in requests. So it's a highly competitive program. The cutoff score was, to receive funding was 67, and we scored a 59. That sounds low, but, and not to get too many in the ins and outs, we talk about this often. They have a automatic qualifier called a, preferred geography, priority geography, sorry, priority geography. That's 10. And we are not a preferred priority geography. So that was 10 points automatically deducted from our application. We knew that going in. We have the, that's where you know from the trip to DC. We are being a case where we are supportive now of a priority geography. And that was something that was very specific to review language we had with HUD, that if you were supported and connected to a priority geography, you can build the case to get some of those points back. So, really encouraged us to make this leap and go after it again. And,
What about the other 8? And
well,
we're
we
going
were able to identify, able to really identify in those other 8 points where our failings were in the application. And we feel very good about having addressed those in this go round. We've taken a little bit broader team approach in developing the application so that there have been 5. Russ has done the heavy lifting on it, but 4 of us have been putting our brains into it and making sure that we follow their guidelines and their requirements and link everything together. And, you know, it's a very, it's been pretty intensive, but we do feel very strongly that we'll qualify for it pretty highly.
Any additional comments or questions? I think Mayor Pro Tem is wondering what the matching is.
So the match, is $3.5 million. And, that is a little over the base requirement. You gain points or percentages over. So, that's something we've worked really closely with Garrett, with, Ms. McDuffie about, is how can we maximize those dollars that we're already allocating out there. There's also opportunities for us to utilize, overhead, staff time, all of those things that we're already doing as part of the match as well.
That's what I was.
Yep.
How does that composition of in-kind to match.
It's not, it's technically, they don't view it
Don't view it as
necessarily as
in-kind.
in kind. They view that as hard dollars because
Cause you're
we're,
spending
we're,
time.
we're taking time. Yeah. It just wouldn't have splossed. It'd be out of operations.
Okay.
Yeah.
So-
Oh,
Oh,
go
I'm
ahead.
sorry.
Nope, nope.
So potentially, if granted this, then the total cost, I'm not saying so much as to the city, but the total cost of the potential
that's where-
project would be about 10,000.
So that's where things get kind of interesting, is that with us focusing on purchase, rehab, sell, we will have we will have proper income. So those dollars that we get and put into the housing side of this will be able to recapture and recycle and forward. So, the overall total project over 5 years, there ends up being an investment of about $23 million into the community. So that's grant. 3.5 of that is our city funding and recycling those housing sales and putting them back into more houses. So it has a massive impact potential for us going forward.
Additional comments? Really quickly, I obviously think this is something positive. I know this commission has been working on housing since every single one of us has gotten elected. So I think it's something that we see as a positive in this direction. Just two questions. The first, are we then saying that total investment, if we receive the full 7 million, we 10.5 million with our 3.5 plus the 7?
That's correct.
Okay. The second question that I have is just in general, I'm always a huge proponent of my mayor pro tem and the land bank, and a couple questions inside of that.
Yep.
What, in my estimation, there are no mechanisms by which a city can become a real estate company. So we can't start selling homes. So what is legal mechanism by which we offload properties if we were to rehab?
I'm gonna turn to Brian on that.
It would need to be through some sort of joint venture with an authority such as the land bank.
And the reason I ask that is these funds, as a city, I always think it is incredibly important to show our complete support that as this project comes online, that it is partnered with the
Yep.
land bank as that entity to get that moving in the right direction. So I would just want to ensure that internal our paperwork, as we're working through it, we understand that that entity is the land bank, and that needs to be somehow stated through the motion. I would just like to know that we get that right.
So
Or public hearing, I'm
we don't
sorry,
need
when
a
it comes
motion,
up.
But no, I understand, and that's, we're looking through the guise of this. As y'all know, I've been involved with the land bank from the infancy, and all of this melds in together. And so, being able to acquire properties through the land bank to help support the land bank, which then feeds, more revenue into that entity to help support it. That's going to be important that we all work together on the city level, on county level, to make a program like this a success, because it really does involve all of our departments. And that's one of the things I think we saw as we started down this road a year and a half ago and went to Savannah and sat down with what was said was the housing department, and it was pretty much the department of the city of Savannah
And
because
community.
and the community to be able to
Mhm.
help pull all the resources together that you need. And, that's the critical piece for us as we start getting this off the ground moving forward.
Can you tell me, just because you mentioned it, county has been incredible partners on a lot of things that we work on, but we have yet to see that partnership grow or expand to housing or transit. When I hear that there may be some part of that we need county interaction, I'm always interested as to what that part is. So as a mayor, I'm always trying to ensure we have resiliency. So if it doesn't happen over there, I don't want that to stop what we have to do here. So what kind of connection do we have with the county?
No, I think most of it would be through the tax commissioner's office. There probably will be some legal support needs through the county.
Okay.
But yeah, I think.
So clearing the titles,
So clearing, yeah.
working through that kind of.
Work tax deeds, all
Gotcha.
of that. A lot of it's informational.
Gotcha.
You know, a lot of it's making sure that as we start working on acquiring properties, we've got a full knowledge of what the triples are.
Right.
So there'll be a lot of just communication support.
Okay.
You know, I think, you know, our friends at the county, I think, yeah, my wife's from Missouri.
Mhm.
So one of the things I've always heard a lot of is me.
There it is. Show them.
So,
Exactly.
you know, I think as we start getting things off the ground and they can see how this starts impact, I think that's going to start bringing things together a lot more easily.
Perfect. God, I had one more in my head, but I remembered it. This is more of a request. I had the chance to sit with Mr. Director Baisden, Housing Authority. Really excited about the way they've kind of started moving positive direction over there. In terms of housing in this, I am hoping that maybe over the next month or so, we could some cohesive meeting between us and Housing Authority to talk about, hey, Housing Authority is going after this, attacking this sector, going after this, attacking this sector, bring some cohesion to that plan.
So we've already done a bit of that. We had kind of a team meeting back in June or July, just really kind of introducing and getting people faces and names together. Director Baisden reaches me about every couple of weeks and has been really good about, I don't know if scheduling a pop-in is a thing, but that's how he does it. And so we've opened that line of communication.
And you all work through that line of communication. If maybe over the next month or so, we could set public meeting. I don't know if it's the second public hearing of this or whatnot, but that allows the community, I think, to see the cohesion between what the House Authority is doing, what we're doing, and how those things work together.
Yeah, definitely. Yes, sir.
Perfect. Any other questions or comments?
I got an idea for legal housing offline. Good I thought.
Perfect. With that, we will open it up for public comment, and I will count to 30 in my head, so I don't have to. With that, we will close the public hearing and thank you all. As far as next steps, can you please let us know what we're on to?
Yeah, I believe that we have a signature from you.
Okay.
So we'll find you.
Okay.
But other than that, ready to go.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, John. Russ, thank y'all.
Thank you all. We'll move on to updates. Downtown Development, Matthew Hill, to provide updates regarding October events. Always good as Director Hill.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners.
Good evening.
We're here
Thank you.
So, October's, oh, sorry. October's events are kind of kicked off by First Friday and Grimm's Fest. So this year's fairy tale is Little Riding Hood. And we will have some celebrity players being Little Red, Grandma, and the Wolf. So you'll see them around downtown, and we'll again have a little trial. Was the wolf really trying to eat Grandma? Was that just somebody's story? So you'll have to come to First Friday and how that turns out. And I think you all know Coast Fest has been postponed just because so many DNR workers are distributed elsewhere in the state trying to get the state parks back up and running, and especially law enforcement are all occupied. So that'll probably be in the spring, working with them on a date to reschedule that. We also have a couple new events this month. The Golden Isles Film Festival going to be downtown. That's the next weekend. Yep. Friday and Saturday next weekend. And then the weekend after that, we had Jekyll and Hyde Comic-Con downtown. You may remember that being various names over on Jekyll Island. It was been at the mall, but wanted to bring it downtown. So hopefully this will be an ongoing annual event. So wear your cosplay outfits.
I was gonna say, I know what all of those words mean individually, but I don't know what they mean together. So what is a Jekyll and Hyde comic?
So Jekyll, how did it start out here? It was a horror yeah, pop and horror conference.
I think they just Jekyll and Hyde.
Because they were on Jekyll, and then they decided Jekyll and Hyde.
They kind of more added like pop and on to. They didn't bring. They'll actually have the voice of Scooby-Doo and a ton of other characters as one of their celebrities that are here downtown. So a lot of really cool things going on with the Comic-Con. Very excited.
Oh,
Do you have any specific questions?
I didn't.
You want me to just-
no, I just wanted you to come so publicly the community can see that we have things going on in our downtown area. Restaurants with Shro Glow, with Comedy Night, just so people can, out here and enjoy the festivities.
And if you're curious, these events get on our calendar for the most part because the merchants or whoever is doing the event puts it on the calendar. Anyone can go to our calendar if they're having an event downtown and submit an event. And as long as it's a downtown event and open to the public, it'll appear on our calendar.
And just to follow up on that, this calendar is like honestly already outdated because people are all adding new things that are going on in the community. So we put this out at the beginning of the month and do it so far in advance. So even this does not include everything and put everything that was going on. It just would not fit, which is why we encourage them to check out discoverbrunswick.com because that is an overall realistically what's going on downtown. And even then, it sometimes doesn't include everything. So there's quite literally always something happening every day of the week. But discoverbrunswick.com is a really great place to stay up to date. We post pretty consistently on social media too. Kind of like Matthew said, all of our businesses put these on our calendar. So it's a really great marketing tool.
for them, as well as just keeping us informed about all of the great things happening in downtown Brunswick. It's super easy for a business or anybody that has something happening downtown to submit. So on the QR code, you can scan it and you can go, it'll take you to a link tree that has different things, and you can submit an event there. You can go directly to our event calendar. You can also just go to discoverbrunswick.com and click on the calendar, and then at the top ask you if you want to submit an event. So it's pretty user friendly. And then if you have issues, you can always reach out to us about that.
And the link tree changes over time. It's not always the same thing sitting there. Like we'll have the Christmas parade registration will show up there. So is not a static place that never changes.
Right. And then you always have to scan the QR code. You can visit our Facebook or Instagram, and the link tree is linked on there, because I know this QR code is not always available, but you can very easily to Facebook or Instagram and find the link tree. And it's just a quick one-stop shop, we like to say, where you can find a little bit of everything, and it easily points you in the direction to go. So it's really great for our businesses. We'll put some links on there, some resources, really great for potential new businesses that are looking for grants. We list on there. And like Matthew said, we change it up so it's always up to date and current. So if you want to ride the Christmas parade, please do. It's live on there now.
Is there a theme for this year yet? All right.
Making spirits bright.
Making spirits
I
bright, okay.
think is just Christmas lights.
Yeah. Yeah.
Bright Christmas lights.
Wonderful, wonderful. Any other questions or comments?
Thank you.
Seeing
I
none.
just have one quick thing. Y'all know that we had over almost 230,000 people come to events this year, fiscal year. This is fiscal year. But I got a little curious after our downtown conference, and I looked, and we had 1.4 million visitors or visits to downtown last fiscal year. That does not include employees or residents. So those are just people coming downtown. They made 262,000 unique, or there are 262,000 unique visitors. That does not include anyone the age of 18. So you can figure out some percentage for kids. And over the last 5 years, we've been growing about 100 people every year additionally that are coming downtown. So
it's wonderful.
That scary big brother numbers for you too.
Thank you so much.
Thank you all for your.
Appreciate you guys. We'll now move on to items to consider for approval. Consider approval of September 18th, 2024 regular scheduled meeting minutes. City Clerk Atkinson, any changes? If there aren't any changes or addendums from the commission, hearing none, we'll open motion.
Motion to approve the September 18th, 2024 regular scheduled meeting minutes.
Second.
Hearing a first and a second, all those in favor show by the sign of aye. Aye. All those opposed, the same. Hearing none, the motion passes. We'll now.
Mayor, could I
Yes.
interrupt?
Yes, I'm sorry.
And pardon me, this interruption to the meeting, but I did not recognize that there were 2 items needed to be added to the agenda under our emergency declaration. Of course, we are have some things that were relative to emergency response and recovery. For there were the notice to proceed for our debris removal starting next week, and we also have a task order for the monitoring that needs to be approved. Evening.
Okay, give me the first one. Give me the name. Notice to what?
Notice to proceed for our debris removal and disposal service. And we have representatives. We have Director Albertson here, and also representatives from Ceres, which is the company that does our debris removal, and also from GMC that does the monitoring. These processes has to be done in order for us to get reimbursement from the federal government, this process.
Perfect.
And it is due to the storm.
Give me the second item.
It's the task order for the debris monitoring.
Okay. I will open it for a motion to amend the agenda, adding items number 11 and 12 as stated by the city manager. Do I hear a motion?
Motion to amend the agenda as addressed.
Hearing the first, do I hear a second?
Second.
Hearing the first and the second, all those in favor show by sign of aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the same. Hearing none, items are added. We'll now move on to number 10, consider approval of memorandum of understanding with Glenn County to complete the design for Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard, Altama Avenue bicycle corridor and submit a joint carbon reduction program grant application to the Department of Transportation.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Mr. Mayor, thank you for having me tonight. My name is Monica Harden, and I'm the grants manager for Glenn County. As infrastructure projects go, this is really exciting, and I believe that it's going to make a huge impact in our community. So before you tonight, let me see if I can get. So, this project has been in the work quite some time. The Martin Luther King Boulevard is an important corridor for citizens of Glenn County and to the city of Brunswick. The corridor connects multiple city, county neighborhoods to critical services, educational institutions, and to vast employment area located in the proximity to the corridor. Due to its high multimodal traffic and its strategic location, in 2022, Glenn County contracted with Pond Engineering Services to conduct an MLK Altama bicycle corridor study. This study provided different schematic scenarios in addition to an additional desktop environmental screening report, but was shy of a final design or construction documents. And what you see on the screen now are the current conditions of the corridor. And if you've traveled along this corridor, you'll see that there's lackage of signage, and some of the crossways are quite hazardous to cyclists and to pedestrians. Here are some of the identified solutions in this in the study that was also attached to the agenda item. So if you get a second, please review it. It's not a lengthy study and does give a lot of the options that the study identified. So if you see, it just gives a separate lane to the cyclist to go along the corridor without any issues from the traffic, or giving a little bit more room to your pedestrians. So before you tonight, the potential of partnering with the Glenn County to submit a joint grant application to the U.S. Department of Transportation through the BATS, which is the Brunswick Area Transportation Study. And what this opportunity would provide is up to $450,000, and it would be help complete the design of the corridor. It probably will not end the entirety of the study, but Glenn County did receive the same presentation that you have before you tonight, and they're fully committed to making sure this gets done to its entirety and are willing to commit SPLOST funds to complete the design. Once completed, there are other funding opportunities through the U.S. Department of Transportation to complete the construction commit. It is a lengthy corridor, so some of these grant dollars may not fund 100% of it. And we would probably require to put some match into it. But I think we would know once that line is complete and we get more accurate numbers. So the next step for us as staff is complete a memorandum of understanding with the city just to initiate that process of the RFP, request for proposals from interested engineering firms to help complete the study. The design will give us the cost to complete the corridor, and it would be between the city and county based on mileage. Now, this is a 6-mile core, of which approximately a little bit less than 4 miles are in the city and approximately 2 miles in the county. It started on Prince Street. I believe there already has been some work on Prince Street and it dead ends onto Gloucester. So really the work of the design would be starting Gloucester all the way up to Chapel Crossing Road. Some of the other commitments are from the county, the local funding source BLOS from that 2022 vote. And the ultimate right now is getting your approval for the MOU and to set joint application to the U.S. Department of Transportation for that carbon return program. I'm here for any questions, and that is my presentation. Thank you.
Questions or comments?
I have a couple comments and questions, Mr. Mayor. So I've had the opportunity to serve on the BATS committee for, I guess it's going on close to 4 years. So it's great that this project is continuing forward. I'm a huge proponent of this trail system. You know, I had some questions in this application process. So this, just for clarification, so the grant with this MOU is just finalize the design, because we did the study basically saying, yes, here are a couple options on how we could help solve the problems and identify the problems. And the study would be, this grant action is to finalize a study that would include construction drawings. Is that correct? Estimates, so then we can actually go to RFP for construction. Is that?
That is correct. It's really hard to estimate at this time, even with best engineering studies, without really having an engineering firm put final design together. Right. We estimate probably 5 million. We don't know until we get that final design. That's why it's critical for us to truly kind of get some numbers on it.
Perfect, perfect. And then the next thing is, you did mention that the city has already worked on some of that trail again to Prince Street and even south of Street. One of the things that I would encourage us as we continue on this process is, from perspective, an effective trail system is not just a sidewalk, that it has amenities, including signage and lighting and places for people to sit and take a break, and water fountains and that kind of stuff. So I'd encourage us, as we look at this whole corridor, that we continue to make sure those things are included, not just that sidewalk.
Thank you, Commissioner, for bringing that up. And actually, I previously came for you to submit another grant, which was a Safe Streets for All. And actually, we can potentially include this corridor in all the safety issues and hazards that it presents to our community, and be a project within the Safe Streets for All grant. Okay. So there's some room there with the Department of Transportation, just to showcase how important it is to our community.
Yeah. I mean, I saw probably 15 or 20 kids walking on the brand new sidewalk. They were literally walked around construction equipment to walk brand new sidewalk. I mean, they're excited to use it, and I think it'll get a use. So thank you for all your hard work and the partnership with the county on this project.
You're welcome.
Any additional questions or comments? I'm going to ask a couple questions, and this is just me looking at what I see in front of me. So if these things have already been discussed either in BATS or with the please tell me where those conversations have happened. I guess first question is a question for City Manager McDuffie. The dollars for this project for the city of Brunswick come from where?
We have funding splossed for trails and boardwalks, and that funding would come from that line item.
Approximately how much money are we talking about approximately how much money would be coming out of that sector, our city, and then how much money does that leave in that sector once this is paid?
I have to look for, I think it's $3.5 million
in there.
Totally.
Okay.
And
currently set aside, but
right. But I do, and I brought this up during the discussion, is even though the mileage is allocated, there is cost associated, with the miles, how they're structured, whether it's traffic area, whether it's in an area that already has right of way. So there are the concerns that need to be looked at in terms of the allocation, and we'll continue at those. Based on what she's saying, we're 2/3 and there's 1/3 of that mileage
And-
breakdown.
And then, 1 second, and then, after, this is a MOU design portion of this trail, does that MOU and the kind of framework of what I'm seeing in front of me, is that what I should expect to see on the construction part of this project?
Well, it shows the delineation of where the trail will go. But, there's also, we have had extensive design for part of the trail going to, I'm not sure exactly where. Garrow can probably tell you what our design has.
Sure, and I guess what, I will get to the kind of substratum or foundation of what I'm thinking about. I ask all of those questions because if we are saying front $450,000 of design costs, and the way that we want to structure that MOU would, as always, set some precedent of completion of the project beyond design and in construction phase, I do deeply worry about that MOU being set up in a way that says we are basing how much we pay on mileage. The reason being is our dollars are completely different county dollars. We know the county's budget is a lot larger than ours, and we are going to take on this project and have a partnership. I would at least think an MOU should be 50-50 or based on tax digest, not based on how much mileage the structure is, because as I continuously say, the city is the county. And so the county is by proxy investing still in the county, even if it's inside of the city limits. So I don't know who had discussions on kind of how the MOU got set up, but I would be deep worried in moving forward where we are setting up a 2/3 agreement with the county, finishing a project that we have no idea at current what the final construction cost of that project would be.
If I may, so the way that it was presented to the county is just, and to you tonight, is just to put the RFP out. That's what the MOU is delineate, where the city and the county are partnering to put this project out, see what kind of bids we get from potential engineering firms. We don't know what that's going to look like based on today's market. Once we get those bids back, we will share those with you, and we kind of understand a little bit of where we stand, cost-wise, just to get the design done, knowing that we're going to potentially get $450,000 federal money, and then just kind of figure out how we're going to meet the difference. Say it comes back at $1 million or $900,000 or $800,000. An answer for you, the distribution, the share, how they're going to come out. The way that it was presented to the county was based on mileage.
And I guess my question is, at current, if we approve this MOU tonight, are we approving that distribution based on mileage? Or are we saying this is maybe how this should work, but that's not what we are approving tonight? Are we approving just saying, hey, let's go get the design done and we're going to do it jointly, but we talk about what that distribution of funds are? Or are we saying tonight design cost will be split with the city based on mileage?
Not yet, sir. Right now, the only thing we're saying is, let's go into a partnership to put out an RFP to get these estimates in.
Okay.
We don't know what it's going to look like on today's market.
Okay.
I know it's
But-
very baby steps. Go ahead.
I said it could come in at 350 and we could be great.
That's right. So I know it might seem like very small and baby steps, trying to be very cautious just based on some of the bids that we're getting on some other projects. It might be something that we need more time. We just don't know what we're going to get.
I think, probably, the concern is a fiscal is that we are not legally binding ourselves to any specific percentage in the distribution or any of those specific numbers or as mileage. All we're doing is saying, yes, we will work together, in an MOU to put out an RFP. We're binding ourselves legally to any specific cost or distribution amounts.
That is correct, Commissioner. We're not obligated. Well, the way that it was presented to our commission for Glenn County is just let's put an RFP out and then have conversations and a vote with each commission as to how we're going to that difference, that other match. Yes, ma'am.
I think it would be governed by a separate cost sharing agreement, similar to ones we've done with like the park drainage project and those types of, and this separate MOU outside the scope once numbers are realized and determined that breaks down the financial obligations of the city and the county, which would come to you for a vote.
So we're just voting on the approving of the MOU would release the RFP and have us as co-applicants on the grant.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
I guess I want to be assured of that before we take a vote on this today and make sure legal is giving us the thumbs up on that is exactly what we're doing here. The second thing, if we could have legal or city manager contact their leadership, because if they were presented the same thing I'm seeing, then I would assume Janelle is saying design costs will be split with the city based on mileage. And at current, I don't want them stepping into agreements that we somehow are changing something in the 12th hour. I want them to be transparent and clear and understanding of what kind of we're hoping that split would be when we get there. We know that's in a couple steps, but that we aren't at current discussing how the costs will be split. We're saying let's partner and then we can have that conversation internally. And so if we could have leadership at least communicate that to them if they've seen this presentation to make that point.
Okay, we'll do that. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Any other questions or comments? This is gonna be my last one. I'm gonna shut up, seriously.
No problem.
I only is because I do a lot of back and forth between here and Atlanta, and they have a lot of the bike lanes that I see, a lot of the options that I see, and they're great for pedestrians. But I always ask this one question. Brunswick is a growing city, hope to see plenty of other economic development projects come on board, housing come on board, which then puts strains on two-lane roads or internal roads to our community. We are then taking up a large portion of that right-of-way that we made 20 years down the road to turn into a lane of traffic. Have you all run into that issue any? Have you all thought about that issue any? Because as I see the signs in Atlanta, they are starting to hinder traffic in a way that they kind of didn't have a conversation about. Memorial Drive being one of those places. It used to be 2-lane. They put a bike, they've just put a bike lane there and have significantly changed the way people move down Memorial in a bay. And so I'm just wondering for us, I know a lot of our tracks like it's going through not medians, but median right-of-ways, which is great. That's not interrupting traffic. You never expand into that part of the right-of-way. But those that are on the outsides of the streets, do you guys do any thinking about projection of where the traffic patterns will be maybe in 5 years, see growth here or any of that? Just wondering, did you take a look at it at all?
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you for bringing that up. Actually, the study does provide some alternatives. So a part of the trail would go into that medium, particularly when it comes to the city of Brunswick's jurisdiction. So the way that they lay out is really unique and I think attractive. Also, it also would provide some additional shades through trees and whatnot. But that would be part of the design, you know, how much are we gonna take up? How much is still safe? How much are we gonna project for 15, 20 years? That is a heavily trafficked corridor. So we wanna make sure that we are projecting also for the future.
I don't want to be the mayor that closed and created a rush hour. So
Yes.
I am very thoughtful of that. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Any comments and questions? If not, we'll open it for a motion.
I would just suggest motion be conditioned on there's not a component of how design costs are split. So that you are making a motion to approve entering an MOU to help draft that RFP, and the designs would be decided on a later date.
Has heard our attorney. All right, we'll open it for a motion.
So, Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to approve entering into an MOU with the county to help complete the design for MLK Altama Bicycle Corridor and submit a joint carbon reduction program grant application to the U.S. Department of Transportation. And noting that in this agreement with we currently are not agreeing to any cost sharing measures at this time.
Hearing it as a first, do I hear a second?
Second.
Hearing the first and all those in favor, show by sign of aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the same. Hearing none, the motion passes. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Monica. Appreciate all your hard work.
Thank you. We'll now move on to number 11. I'm not going to try and guess the name of this. Director Albert Debris. We'll just call you up. Notice to proceed for debris removal and disposal services.
Okay. We've got two items here, but we'll discuss those together. If you're not familiar with this process, we have two contractors here. When we have an event like this, we bring in a debris hauling contractor who actually goes around and picks up debris on the ground. They cut the remaining limbs out of the trees, hanging limbs, whatnot. Pick up the debris that's on the ground, store that or stay as a site, dispose of that, and take care of that material. The second contractor is a monitoring contractor who basically verifies that the hauling contractor is doing what they say they're doing. The contractor certifies the size of the trucks. They help count the loads. They confirm that the debris came from the location that the says and that it goes to the approved location that it says. Both contractors are required in the FEMA process. Obviously, the hauling contractor is required, but the monitoring contractor is also required as part of the FEMA process to maintain compliance with FEMA regulations. This is typically reimbursed at 75% by FEMA and another 12.5% by the state. The final 12.5% will be our cost. The contractors are selected through a qualification-based selection. And then when we have an event, get pricing, we determine how much debris is ground, the cost that it will take to clean it up. And they produce a task order, and then we initiate that task order and they begin to work. And so that's starting now. They've provided us estimates for the work, and we're ready to move forward. As Ms. McDuffie mentioned, our debris hauler is Series Environmental, and they've given us a notice to proceed and an estimate not to exceed $500,000 for their work. Our debris monitoring company is Goodwin Mills Kaywood. They have given us their notice to proceed includes a not to exceed amount of $250,000. So approved. They're ready to begin work. Both contractors are ready to work on Monday. We expect this to be about a 4-week process. They'll make a swipe through the city, make a run through the city collecting vegetative debris, make a second run collecting construction and demolition debris, rooftops, fences, those kind of things, that structural items that were damaged in the storm, and then come behind with another swipe for, another pass coming through for vegetative debris again. The C and D, construction demolition debris go to our facility the facility at Republic Services, Sham. And then the vegetative debris will be taken down here to the Bay Street yard or property at the corner of Bay and Prince, where then it will be ground and then shipped to the landfill. So, our process is very, a strict process that they have to follow, and a lot of FEMA regulations, and will be closely monitored. But they're ready to begin work. And like I said, they expect it to be about a week process. And then we have representatives from both Ceres and GMC here tonight, if y'all have any questions for them.
I just want to say thank you to those representatives for coming. As we always say, when we're spending this kind of money, it's always good to have represent the company in the house. So we thank you guys for showing up and spending time with us as we work through this. Any questions or comments from the commission?
Yarrow, are they just gonna go to certain areas where, when you go out the city, they're gonna go like throughout the entire city, or just areas where they feel the need? So where you direct them?
Every street.
Okay.
Every street will be covered.
And you will provide the schedule for them, or they?
No, man, they'll set their own schedule, and I'm not sure if they know yet. They may can tell us exactly how, if they'll go from south, north to south. I don't know. We haven't determined that exactly yet. Yes, ma'am. They'll set their own schedule.
And you mentioned about not to exceed certain dollar amount. How are, I guess, services calculated? I mean, before you say not to exceed 500,000, how do you know when you have reached to the 500,000 mark? Or the 250,000 mark?
Right. There are rates provided in their original proposals. And so when they'll certify their truck, and then they'll count the number of trucks come in, and they're getting paid, $100 per load, let's just say. And so then they're counting the number of trucks that come in. So they're counting that. As far as the monitoring company, they have rates for their employees included in their proposals. And so then obviously their hour they worked, and so that's how they track their expenses.
So each truck carries what, X amount of number of ton of debris, or?
Measured on a cubic yardage basis, a volume basis. And the monitoring company will go out and measure that truck. We talked today about them doing that Sunday afternoon and going through measuring those trucks and making sure that the trucks are the size that they say they are, and they hold the capacity that they say they do. And that way, when they do bring in the debris, there's no question there. This truck is this size, it brought a load, you dump it and go on. There's no confirming it at that point. It's just count it and go. Keep the process moving.
And where are these home base, or they're coming from?
I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Ceres is based out of Texas, and Goodwin Mills Kaywood is Montgomery. They have offices all over the Southeast.
And
yes.
I'm sorry. And this debris is in addition to, well, I know it's in addition to assuming the responsibilities of Republic? No, yes, or?
Yes, ma'am. Republic is not picking up our yard debris right now because of the event and it being FEMA backed. And so that's what we'll be picking up the vegetative debris. We have asked to help us with focusing on the bulk pickups and the legal dumps and those kind of things, because those items, the furniture, the appliances, those kind of things, mattresses that you would call in a bulk pickup, are not included in this storm event pickup. So we're trying to get those off the street as much as we can. Our crews are working on it. Republic's helping us out with that, trying that cleaned up so that all that's out there when these guys come through is either vegetated or C and D from the storm.
And what is the process of which cities will collect the debris from the curbing?
They have a large truck. It operates similar to our knuckle truck. It has a claw on it. It's a two-part truck. It has a truck claw on it, and then that truck also pulls a trailer. And so they pick up the piles there. They also will operate a bucket truck that will cut any, call them hangers, branches that might have been damaged or broken but are still hanging up in the tree. Those will be routed as well in the right of way. They only work, this only applies to trees and work in the right of way.
In the
No
right of way.
private property work here.
And will how many people will be on the truck, per truck or?
I would have to let Dominic or Corey answer that.
Any additional questions or comments?
I got
Commissioner Atkinson Williams kind of went into the cost analysis and all that kind of stuff. So I guess still, you've got an estimated amount already. How did you estimate those already? That you all have already gone around, visited the entire city, and they've given you a projected cost?
Yes,
You've,
ma'am.
you went to every area, square mile of the city. And so, okay, so that's just what I'm trying to get to. So you kind of, inflate your estimation initially. Okay. That's that. I didn't know if you went every square mile and you said, okay, yeah, we're coming back. We know that we this there, we've got that there. And so this is what we're estimating the cost is going to be, potentially to the city, for our cleanup. So I think they kind of asked the collection. I think you all kind of that. So are you going to be making sure, that people are separating the vegetation from the construction types of debris? Are we putting notices out to that effect?
Yes, ma'am. We
So-
are.
So we're gonna have everything in there together and you're gonna separate it whenever you pick it up? Or the notice out there to say, please stack construction, separate from your vegetation. And so when, Commissioner Atkinson wins the question, totally different set pots of money, Republican in this issue.
Right. It's very important that these are separate for, yes, FEMA reimbursement. And we've put that out there. Series has provided some information that we've put out on social media about been keeping the piles separate, kind of how to stack the piles, not on top of meters, fire hydrant, not directly under power lines, not in front of parked cars, those kind of things. And then Ms. McDuffie and I also had a conversation with the news this afternoon and getting it in the newspaper. And yes, just trying to get that word out there about keeping it separate and the importance of that. And yes, keeping those two separate, but also not mixing in the other bulk pickup or dump trash items that are not included in there, because once that load is contaminated with an unacceptable item, then it can't be included in this.
In the FEMA account.
Right. Then we're running at our cost
And
we're
that's
not being
what,
reimbursed.
that's
So
what we need to make sure. There need to be an intentional campaign to the community, because they don't know, we know that here, but they don't know that.
Mayor, Pro Tem, we are asking, our code enforcement
I was about
to
get to that.
canvass the communities. And if
Yes.
they see yard debris that's kind of positioned where it may not be picked up, or if there's some contamination or anything, we are asking to go knock on a door, make sure people are putting the, debris out as it should, asking Public Works and code enforcement, plus we will be trying to get a flyer out to the community, as well as we have talked to newspaper, and I asked him specifically to put one of those big trucks in the paper and, you know, kind of give people an idea of how big those trucks are and how much room they need to get the job done, because people tend to put the debris next to their cars, next to trees, power lines, and things like. So we are trying to get that information out as much as possible.
Awesome. You hit right well on. I already know people are taking this opportunity, clean out their houses. Landlords are cleaning out and doing evictions. I'm saying this because it's a huge pile down the street from me on Ash, and it has nothing to do with the storm. This is an eviction. So I'm just saying that because people are going to use this opportunity to do that. So we need to make sure that we have those costs separated. We hit the landlords with what they ought to be picking up and hauling off. That's an important factor, that we do not allow the landlords to capitalize on this or this tragedy that we've suffered.
That's on Ash that you mentioned?
It's huge. Yes.
Well, I'll make sure our guys get it before these guys come
I
by.
mean, it's huge. It is huge.
I just have one quick question. It's not specific to this motion, but I have had a couple constituents reach out to me regarding our qualification as a disaster area via FEMA. So I don't know if either you or city manager Regina can speak to that point. My understanding is we've been designated a disaster area based on this hurricane damage, and that that makes our citizens eligible for some funding. Is that? But they're saying when they go to the FEMA website, you know, there's a bunch of counties listed for Georgia, but Glenn County's not on that list.
I'll have to check to
Okay.
see what list that is and find out, but we do have FEMA already coming into the community to help citizens with assistance. So
That's what
I would,
thought.
yeah, we have FEMA already, you know, trying to find locations and sites. So I'm assuming that we do, but we'll make sure that we're on that website.
Perfect. Thank you.
Any additional questions or comments? With the
Can we approve these together, or do they gotta be separate?
separate, okay. But you've described them together.
That's
Am I
right,
correct?
yeah.
Yes, okay, good deal. Really quickly, just two questions. State organization GEMA, that's
Yes.
who's paying the 12.5?
Yes.
And then how long does reimbursement usually take? I'm just wondering.
It depends on the size of the storm and the, you know, the number of counties and agencies or municipalities involved. It can be many, many months.
Okay.
Can move, and I think get partial reimbursements, you know, and
So-
it can work out.
I would just, you don't have to answer it here. I would just love answer of usually how long does it take for us to recoup all of those? Because that we're capping out at $750,000 as a total. That's a heavy ticket.
Find out. I know Alec Eaton kind of coordinates and all of this funnel through him, and he does
Okay.
a good job of getting these reimbursements submitted and all that. So
Good deal.
I'll get some information from him for you on that.
Thank you.
I was gonna say, you can look historically at what was our last large event of this magnitude when they had to come in before. I guess kind of
I
gauge it.
don't know that we've had him in here
It's
since
been like 19,
Matthew,
Matthew or Irma.
yeah.
18 or
It-
19.
It was Matt and Irma, and it takes a while to get all of the fund back, but generally you get a large amount of it back within a few months of that reimbursement process. And we are, you know, filling out all of the proper forms and have that lined up so that we can as much, I guess, submitted as possible, because our reimbursement will include the hours worked by our safety, public works, just everything that we have, that's been in our damage assessment, over the storm time.
Perfect. With no other questions or comments, we'll open it for a motion for a notice to proceed for debris removal and disposal services.
So moved.
Hearing a first, do I hear a second?
Second.
We hear a first and a second. All those in favor show by the usual sign of aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same. Hearing none, the motion passes. We'll now move on to item 12, which was described Director Albertson. I don't have that written down well.
Oh, I
so-
have it.
The task.
It's task order for debris monitoring.
Order for debris monitoring. We'll open it for a motion.
I move to the task order for debris monitoring.
Hearing a first, second.
Second.
Hearing a first and a second. All those in favor show by the sign of aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the same. Hearing none, the motion passes. Thank you, Director. Thank you all for being with us. Thank you for coming. With that, we'll now, anything for executive session? We need to adjourn to executive session for the purposes of real estate. Do I hear first?
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion that we adjourn to executive session for discussion of real estate.
Do I hear a second? Hearing a first and
Second.
a second. All those in favor show by sign of aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the same. Here we are adjourned to executive session. We have returned from executive session. No action was made. We'll now open it for a motion to adjourn.
Mr. Mayor, make a, we adjourn.
Hearing a first, do I hear a second? Hearing a first and a second. All those in favor show by aye. Aye. All those opposed, the same. Hearing none, we are adjourned.